So we're going to move on to the next presentation by Sally.
Hi everybody. Good afternoon from the UK. I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully that works. Can you confirm, Alex, that that's okay? I think that's okay. So thank you very much. What I try to do with this presentation every year is to lift the veil on what's happening behind the scenes for the Regional Studies Association. And this year is no exception. That's what I'm going to try to do. So these slides are mostly of street art. And I'd like to thank my colleague Suede for sourcing the slides for me. We've chosen to use street art because it's inclusive, it's a kind of bottom up, so it comes from people within communities, it's quite inclusive, and it's a bit of fun. I'm going to structure the presentation around a report that was written by somebody called Belinda Moore. And Belinda is a very well-known commentator on the health of associations and societies. And since COVID, or during COVID, she's published quite regularly on the health of societies and on future trends. And she's just published a report in which she's identified 11 trends that are either with us or heading our way. And what I thought I would do is look at those and see how the RSA is measuring up when we look at those. So the first trend that Belinda has identified is that the pace of change isn't slowing, and also that a little bit of good did come from COVID-19. So she says that there were very significant changes with COVID-19, and that in many cases, this gave a new sense of purpose and member value for associations, but that shortcuts were taken during that period. And now associations are having to go back and build the foundations under new initiatives that have been started. So people move too quickly, really. So if we apply that to the Regional Studies Association, we can see that in play, for example, in our governance. So during the pandemic, the UK government, the Charities Commission and the Companies House extended all our reporting deadlines, but now we're back on scheduled reporting. They allowed us to hold meetings like AGMs virtually, whereas before you had to have special permissions in your articles of association to do that. So the RSA moved quickly in 2020 to change its articles so that we could have global participation in our AGM. And it's really great to see members from around the globe with us today. Now, what we're seeing is there are small changes to our articles year on year, whereas prior to the pandemic, they didn't change for many years at a time. We've had changes the last 3 years. If you look at publications, postal services fell over during the pandemic, and that meant that a lot of our members started moving to online only receipt of their journals. Thank goodness the RSA was able to offer that. And what we see now is that members' attitudes to print are continuing to change. So I love this slide. It shows some streets, 200 houses. The artwork was paid for by the Mexican government, who asked street artists to paint the houses to unite the community. And I think it shouts regional studies in a very vibrant way. And the focus of the slide is on how associations have tried to foster engaged communities and to build their member benefits. And Belinda identified 4 ways in which associations were responding. The first was through knowledge, particularly publications. The second through learning, particularly education. Through community, for example, through research groups, special interest groups, networking, and then finally through advocacy and policy engagement. So if we look at the RSA, how do we measure up? Well, we moved very quickly to meet member need. So for example, recently we've identified an explosion of articles coming through the journals dealing with financial geographies, financialization. And the association is moving to set up a journal called Finance and Space, and we hope that that will be coming on stream very soon. We set up professional development webinar series, and we retain a resource library on our YouTube channel and via our membership hub app for that. We're responding now to requests to speed up the publication process into our journals. For example, we're increasing the number of issues of territory politics governance from this year with an additional 2, so moving to 8 issues a year. I'm sure John, as the founding editor of TPG, will be very pleased to hear that. So, events have been reinvented during the pandemic. We all know that. And what Belinda identified was that events stopped. They just completely stopped. And then quite rapidly, they pivoted online. But now it's beginning to become clear that online events don't totally replace face-to-face activity. So in terms of the RSA, we were one of the very first associations to pivot online. We ran our first Region, City and Industry webinar, hosted with Henry Young speaking at it very soon after the UK lockdown. We launched 3 regular webinar series, Regions, Cities and Industry, our International Hour, which is hosted by our international divisions and sections, and then the Professional Development Series, which caters really to early career and student members of the association, but which is open to all of the community. There's no charge to attend any of these activities. We are now running events, blended like this AGM, hybrid like our conference in the next 2 days, and face-to-face only where that's appropriate. We're seeking to encourage experimentation in all of these events so that people can find new ways of engaging with each other and networking. Over 7,300 people have attended our online events since 2020, and I think that is a really pleasing reach, and it really warms me that so many people now have the opportunity to engage with the association. We've run around 180 events online since 2020. The Ljubljana conference next year, we're hoping to run blended, but we'll keep you posted. So if we look at the next slide, Belinda identified that for all associations, competition is becoming more intense. She said there's been an erosion of the value proposition for members, that there's competition from for-profit companies, from other associations, and from informal groups. And that associations are beginning to fight back by focusing where they can on delivering the most impact and by using collaboration and partnerships to maintain a secure position within their membership niche. So what have we done? We maintained our membership during the pandemic, and we're very proud of that. And we think that reflects the effort that we put into the pivot online and the services that we provided. We've increased both membership benefits, but also what we give to the community at large for free. We established RSA Europe shortly after the Brexit vote was taken in the UK, and we collaborate continually with RSA Europe. We also work with the European Regional Science Association and the Association of European Schools of Planning, for example, in the work that we do with the European Commission. And we do that through RSA Europe. We partner with Regional Science Association International British and Irish section, and also with FinGeo in the publication of spatial economic analysis, and in the forthcoming publication, which we're working on, Finance and Space. And we've continued to build active divisions. We have 5 sections, we have 8 branches, we have 57 ambassadors. We have a formal presence in 52 countries, and members in 80 countries, and participation from more than 70 countries in our events last year. So another trend that Belinda has identified is society's embracing of technology. She said that online communities sound very appealing, but in practice, they're very challenging to execute, and that great tech enables a personalized member experience with better interfaces and streamlined operations. She said that demand from associations is actually driving tech providers to provide better solutions. And I think that is true. She said that associations are rapidly investing both in specialist staffing, but also in technology. So are we there? Well, I think we are. We bought our first bespoke membership and events portal in 2016. It seemed to cost us a huge amount of money then, and it was really tricky to set up, but it's streamlined all of our processes behind the scenes. It's allowed joined up thinking, and it got rid of our bad debt problem in one movement. We've launched RSA Hub, which is our smart app. You can download it from your app store for free. We launched that in 2020, shortly after the UK lockdown. Obviously, we had been planning to launch that app from 2019. Its timing was perfect, and we were able to use it to support our 2 global e-festivals that we ran in 2020 and 2021. We then used it to support our own face-to-face events, but also the Global Economic Geography Conference run by Dieter Kogler in Dublin in June of this year. All of our systems are about to move to the cloud. We think this will give us security and also greater flexibility when we're working away on site. We've built a formidable reputation on social media, including having a training library to help researchers learn how to better promote their own work. We do have appropriately qualified staff, and we are investing in training. We have routes to expert advice. We have appointed digital editors or social media editors to all of our journals, and that's driving views of the content that we're publishing in the journals. So the RSA's Twitter accounts now have 25,600 odd followers. The @RegStud Twitter account alone has done more than 26,000 tweets and has 11,000 followers, all organic, none paid for. And we use appropriate social media. So in China, for example, we would use WeChat. So I've put together 3 of Belinda's trends here. So adaptation to changing community lifestyles, habits and preferences. The fact that she identifies that many people in many sectors are fatigued, they're change fatigued. And finally, that workplaces are changing in order to attract and maintain quality staff. So she says people are leaving the workplace in droves. I think we can see that in many countries, that there's intense competition to attract and retain the best staff, that associations are becoming more flexible, purpose-oriented workplaces, and that there's driving innovations to increase productivity and staff satisfaction. So what are we doing? Well, the staff team worked from home for just over 2 years. We're now back at an innovation centre on the campus of the University of Sussex in the UK, and we work in a hybrid way. We're normally in the office Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. We work a bit flexibly around that. We're also a dog-friendly office, and sometimes on Twitter you will see our dogs interacting in the office with colleagues. We're investing in staff training. For example, Daniela Carl, the deputy, has just finished a senior leadership training at Henley Business School. We're looking after our staff. Our staff have been given a cost of living payment reflecting the fact that salary increases for university staff this year are nowhere near the rate of inflation. And we're encouraging our staff to reconnect with the networks that they were used to connecting with prior to the pandemic. I think this is my my favourite slide. This piece of street art is from rural Australia, where artists were asked to transform a 200-kilometre long silo and water tower trail, and it's now an arts trail that is regenerating this rural area. And so in this slide, Belinda has identified that it's younger people that are driving product innovation. So Generation Z is now part of the workforce. Generation Y are heading into leadership pathways. This makes me feel really old. And associations are innovating to capture these young people who are driving innovation and value creation. In response, what have the RSA done? Well, years ago, about a decade ago, we introduced early career editors to all of our journals. And these are posts where the early career editor is mentored by the editor-in-chief. We believe we were the first journal to do that, although we are aware now that lots of other journals have followed in our footsteps. We run regular calls and competitions for early career plenary presentations for our major events. These are wonderful opportunities for early career researchers to present their work on the grand stage. For most of our committees, and certainly for our board, we have dedicated early career and student places. And again, these are advertised and then CVs are submitted and a decision is taken. We run early career grants, and we have award schemes that award young people who are doing masters, PhD, and then in their early careers. And then we have a big professional development training program that goes alongside it. So I think we have recognised the importance of that part of the community that contributes so importantly to our work. We have a rise of environmental and social and governance approaches, so corporate responsibilities. And Belinda has rightly pointed out that associations are responding to global challenges. And the RSA is indeed no exception to this. We've updated our governance policies to support changing behaviours. We plan our events more thoughtfully. We've always tried to go to second cities. Now we're trying to go to second cities where there are options other than flying to get to the event. We're considering changes in our journal publishing programme. And at the moment, we're funding a piece of research on gender peer review and the pandemic. We believe that early results will be available at the beginning of December. And once they are available, we will certainly be publishing those. I have one more substantive slide, Jessie. I'm nearly there. Belinda has suggested that as a result of the hiatus caused by the COVID pandemic, there is now a better alignment of operating models to purpose. She says that many associations are still using traditional business models, but now some are beginning to adjust their operating models to better achieve their purpose. For example, they're looking at their membership model. They're looking at the component frameworks of what they offer to their members. So for example, special issue groups or branches and sections. I'd like to think that the RSA has been ahead of the game. I would say that, wouldn't I? We've had a progressive membership pricing by both career stage and by geography for over a decade, and maybe 15 years or more. We've had branches since our inception in the 1960s, and we have ambassadors, sections and divisions which have followed. We've funded research networks for more than a decade. And it's worth noting that the RSA on the latest count has put over about 1.2 million UK pounds into funding micro grants. And I think they funded about 223 projects supporting researchers in more than 34 countries. So we like to think that we are making our contribution. So is everything shiny and beautiful? Of course it's not shiny and beautiful. So there are transformations coming in the way in which people communicate and connect, and we're trying to adjust to that. We are expecting a fall in our journals income. For a long time, we thought that might be catastrophic. We now no longer think that. And that's partly due to the diversified income approach that our publishers have taken, but also to the diversified income work that the board have been doing of the association. So, for example, the RSA is now a service provider for third parties, which is now bringing in income. We're seeking to become a dissemination partner for major grant programs. We're continually looking at membership value. So to answer the question that I posed on the first slide, are we doomed? no, I cheerfully and confidently say that we're not doomed. And that is in very large part due to our amazing, loyal, committed and engaged community, to all of you, to our volunteer editors, referees and authors who entrust us with their work, to our boards and our committee members, and there are very many people involved in that, and to the wonderful staff team who really do hold the association's values close to their heart and do their utmost to deliver for you. So I would really like to thank you all for coming to this AGM and taking part. An association can only ever be as good as its members are active. Thank you very much.